A hill outside Jerusalem, a crowd, soldiers, a cross raised against the sky, and a man hanging from it, beaten, exhausted, seconds from death. For almost 2,000 years, this image has defined one of the world's biggest religions, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. But here's the thing. According to Islam, that man wasn't Jesus. Not a fringe theory, not some modern reinterpretation you'll find on a forum somewhere. This is written directly into the Quran, believed by over 1 billion Muslims for 14 centuries. So here's the question almost nobody actually asks. If Jesus didn't die on that cross, what did happen? To answer that, we're not going to start at the cross. We're going to start with who Jesus was, long before he ever got there. Islam doesn't treat Jesus as a footnote, not even close. He's mentioned in the Quran more times than Muhammad himself. Called the Messiah, born to a virgin mother, Mary, a woman so significant an entire chapter of the Quran is named after her. One of the only chapters named after a woman, period. His birth? Described as a miracle, a direct sign from God. As an infant, tradition says he spoke from the cradle to defend his mother's honor, and when his mission began, the Quran describes him healing the blind, curing lepers, even raising the dead with God's permission. Notice that phrase, with God's permission. In Islam, Jesus never acted under his own power. Every miracle flowed through him from God, the same way it did for every prophet before him. That distinction matters a lot, because in Islamic belief, Jesus wasn't just a teacher, wasn't just a moral figure. He was one of the most honored messengers God ever sent. And that's exactly why Islam rejects how his story is said to have ended. Here's the verse. Quran, chapter 4, verses 157 and 158. It describes people boasting, claiming they'd killed the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary. And the Quran's response is direct. They did not kill him. They did not crucify him. It was only made to appear that way. The verse goes further. It says the people arguing about it were themselves confused, in doubt, working off assumption, not knowledge. Then the line that changes everything. Allah raised him up to himself. So something happened on that hill. The Quran isn't denying that. It's denying what everyone thought they saw. So what actually happened? Classical scholars debate the specifics, but here's where most of them land. That phrase, it was made to appear so, in Arabic, shubiha lahum. Scholars like Ibn Kathir and At-Tabari interpret it the same way. Someone else was made to resemble Jesus. That person was crucified in his place. And Jesus? Raised alive. Straight to God. Who was this other man? The accounts differ. A volunteer among the disciples, a betrayer. The Quran itself doesn't name him, and honestly, most scholars are upfront that this part comes from historical reports, not direct revelation. But here's what almost every major school of Islamic thought agrees on. Jesus did not die on that cross. He wasn't killed. He was lifted, body and soul, and he's alive right now, in a state known only to God. And according to hadith recorded by Bukhari and Muslim, he's coming back, before the end of time, to bring justice to the earth. This isn't a one-off idea in Islam. It fits a pattern. Every prophet in the Quran eventually gets vindicated, rescued. Noah, saved from the flood that wipes out everyone else. Abraham, pulled from a fire meant to kill him. Moses, saved at the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army closing in. And Jesus? Same pattern, same God, except this time, the rescue doesn't come after death. It comes instead of it. Now, here's where it gets genuinely interesting. In mainstream Christian belief, the crucifixion isn't just an event, it's the center of everything. Death, followed by resurrection. That's the whole point. That's the victory. Islam tells a completely different story. Not death, then resurrection. Rescue, before death ever happens. These aren't two slightly different versions of the same event. They're two fundamentally different answers to the same question. What was God's plan for Jesus? And most serious Islamic scholarship doesn't treat this as an attack on Christianity. It's simply what the Quran says happened, centuries after the fact according to Muslim belief. Respectful disagreement, not confrontation. So why does any of this actually matter? Because it changes the entire shape of the story. This isn't a tragedy that gets reversed at the last second. It's a story where God's protection was there the whole time, never actually interrupted. For Muslims, that's the deeper point. God's messengers are never truly abandoned, no matter how bad things look in the moment. Betrayal, persecution, a public execution in front of a watching crowd. None of it was the ending it appeared to be. What looked like total defeat. According to Islam, that was preservation, hidden inside what looked like catastrophe. And that idea reaches way beyond this one story. It's something a lot of Muslims hold on to in their own hardest moments. That what looks like complete defeat from the outside might be something else entirely, from a perspective they can't see yet. The crowd on that hill thought they were watching an ending. According to Islam, they were watching the opposite. Today, this remains one of the sharpest points of disagreement between two of the largest religions on earth. But look past the disagreement for a second. Two faiths, separated by centuries, by continents, both still looking at the same hill outside Jerusalem, both still asking the same question: what really happened here? And both, in their own way, still refusing to let that story end in defeat. If a story like this just made you see something familiar in a completely different light, that's exactly why this channel exists.